Hi, boys and girls. I'm here to read you a story called You, Me, and Empathy, and it's by Janine Sanders. This is another one of my favorite books. Sometimes I feel just like you. I understand what you're going through. Sometimes you feel just like me. That understanding is called empathy. Love, Quinn. When I was a baby, I was really small, while everyone else seemed so incredibly tall. But as I grew, I started to see that people are people just like me. How are you the same as your friend, sister, brother? How are you different? So as I read, this book's going to ask questions. Talk about those answers to those questions with your family as we read this story together. Sometimes I'm happy, and sometimes I'm sad, and sometimes I'm worried, and sometimes I'm mad. So happy, sad, worried, mad. We all feel these feelings. Those are called emotions. We all have feelings. You have them too. And sometimes I feel just exactly like you. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you worried? What makes you mad? When my mother was sick with a tummy bug, I knew that she needed a big, snuggly hug. I rubbed her back and patted her hand and said, "I'm so sorry. I do understand." For once, I was sick with a terrible flu. I sneezed and I spluttered, but what could I do? My mother said softly, while patting my hand, "My dearest of dears, I do understand." That's when she gave me a big snuggly hug, and I instantly knew I was human-geniously loved. My mother was kind and caring to me, exactly the same as how we should be. So the mom cared for the child, and then the child cared for the mom. Who helps you when you're sick? How do they make you feel? Bubbles is back for story time, isn't she? When my brother fell over and hurt his knee, he cried and he cried in front of me. I helped him up and said, "There, there," and sat him down on the kitchen chair. For once when I slipped and cut my knee, my brother was there to care for me. He held my hand and said, "There, there," and sat down on the kitchen chair. Who shows you kindness? In what ways do they show you kindness? How do you show kindness to others? So the little brother helped the big brother, and then the big brother helped the little brother. They were being kind to each other. One day in the park, a girl was pushed over, knocked to the ground by a dog called Rover. That must have hurt her. I knew her name because, you see, Rover the dog did the same thing to me. So that boy knows exactly how that girl felt. That had happened to him. The poor little girl sat still on the ground, not a sob, not a whimper, not one little sound. Then all of a sudden she started to cry. Perhaps I could help. It was worth a try. "There, there," I said as I patted her arm. "Rover the dog doesn't mean any harm. He's just being playful, so try not to fuss. He just doesn't notice small people like us. Have you ever helped anyone who was sad? How did you help them?" One day at school, while having fun, I saw a boy alone in the sun. If you saw a boy alone, what would you do? I'd go out over and ask if he wanted to play with me. No one came over and said, "Let's play." I could see he was sad. He was not okay. So I left my friends and over I ran and asked if he'd like to play in the sand. His smile was huge, enormous and wide. It gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. So that boy was brave, and he included that other little boy. You might wonder why I just jumped. I jumped because my cat clawed at me. When I started school, I too sat alone. I had no one to play with. I longed to go home. Then a girl called Abby ran over to me and asked me to play near the old oak tree. So Abby had included him, and he wanted to show someone in need the same thing. We gathered some acorns for finger hats and swung them from branches like acrobats. We played for ages from that day, friends forever, we always say. Have you got a good friend? How does your friend make you feel? I know my good friend makes me feel good inside when she calls me on the phone. Yesterday at the big green slide, I saw a child run away and hide. "Come back," said her dad. "Just give it a try." I wonder if that friend's scared. The slide is not so terribly high. So up she climbed to the very top. "Slide down," he said. "I'll help you to stop." There she is. But there she sat and there she stayed, wanting to move, but too afraid. I wonder what our friend is going to do. Do you think he's going to go model sliding down the slide and help her? I knew just how this girl was feeling, worried and scared. Her head was reeling, for when I was little, I sat at the top, terrified that I wouldn't stop. "You can do this," is what I said. "You're braver than you think. It's all in your head. The more and more brave things you do, the easier it becomes for you." So he's telling her, be brave. You can do it. Let's see if she does. Here she goes. "I am really brave," the girl shouted. Whoosh! Before we knew it, she was on the ground. Have you ever felt scared? What happened? Tell me about a time you had to be brave. There's one more story I'd like to share about a bully who never played fair. Look at him. He pushed children over, was mean and unkind. He made us feel sad, so deep down inside. But one day at school, I saw a strange thing. That bully was bullied and pushed off the swing. So this girl was being mean to this boy. He was sad. He was crying as he walked away. So I followed and asked him, "Are you okay?" His eyes were watery. His nose was red. He looked at me. These words he said. "I was mean to the children. It just wasn't right. I know how they feel now. I've had a big fright. Kind and caring is how we should be. I know this because a bully bullied me." Have you ever been bullied? How did it make you feel? What did you do? If that ever happens, you have to go tell someone on the playground. Or if it's happening in the neighborhood, you have to go tell your parents. So I'm growing taller each day. I'm learning so much in so many ways. I'm learning that we should try to be kind and helpful and caring all of the time. Our world is so special. We all need to care. about one another and the earth we share. People together from far and from wide. We're all on this planet. We're all on the same side. What might be some ways we could show other people we care about them? Look, they're taking care of the community garden. That's a way to show others we care about them. You could make them something, a special treat. You could send them a letter in the mail or a picture. So when someone's hurting or worried or sad, remember those feelings I'm sure you've had. Many of us have felt the same way our friends have felt. Say kindly with care, I understand. I do. Because sometimes I feel just exactly like you. And that is the end of our story. This book I purchased on Amazon and I love it. It's called You, Me, and Empathy. I hope you have a chance to pause the story while you're listening to it and answer those questions with whoever you're watching it with. Okay, I hope you have a great week. Bye.